Warning, this content is for entertainment and educational purposes only. This video is brought to you by First Detachment Nutrition. Battle tested, expert formulated. Use discount code AB10 at checkout for 10% off. All right, folks, Big Paul here today with Jerry Ingram. Jerry lost 200 pounds natural, man. I stumbled across him on Instagram, and his story is crazy. How much weight he lost and in the progress that he made. I was don't see many people that ever can do this unassisted, much less do it, period. And Jerry's story really impressed me, and I thought it would be fun to get you on here, man, and talk about how you did it and your journey, and maybe inspire some other people to show them that it is possible. I think a lot of people that get severely overweight, one of the things that I see, I work with some people that are severely obese, and they get, I think sometimes just the thought of losing all that weight is so overwhelming that they get caught in this bad cycle and don't even start or even try because they just feel like there's no hope.
True. I mean, I was that way for a long time. That's probably what took me so long to get started, because I wasn't really ignorant to the fact. I knew what it was going to take. And you close to 400, man. And, I was that way for probably 25, 26 years. And it's like looking at this mountain that you got to climb is kind of demoralizing versus just getting started, to be honest.
Yeah, and that's the tough part, man. It's the mental part, and I see it with a lot of people who struggle with diets. Is you don't see progress from week to week until you get really lean. That's when it really starts happening, and so like that initial part is just so hard. How long did it take you to knock all that weight off?
I probably knocked off 120 pounds in like 4 years, but man, I just was desperate. So I did a lot of like crash dieting and a lot of cardio. And then back then I was working in like corporate and like manufacturing and stuff. And so I just done like a lot of cardio. And I got down and still didn't like the way I looked, but I was happy that I lost the weight. It was like, damn, I can do this. But I still was unsatisfied. I looked droopy. You know, somebody get like a disease or they get sick and
Yeah,
they lose a lot of weight and they just look droopy with no posture.
yeah,
And that's still, but I was so egotistical and insecure. I wouldn't like reach out to nobody or hire a coach or anything like that. I just was kind of Googling and just trial by error. And so that was like the first transformation. And then I started lifting weights. And then that's when I started like constructing my body, man, and trying to do like posture and focusing on body fat percentage and not just chasing the number on the scale, to be honest.
yeah. Yeah, lifting weights is the piece of the equation I think a lot of people miss. They crash diet and then they do a ton of cardio, and you end up, you're
Exactly what
exactly
I
right.
did.
You look like somebody who escaped from a forced labor camp. What was your breaking point? What finally made you say, I got to do this? I got to get started.
Man, I had a few, but honestly, like I say, working in the automotive plants, that's what we got a lot here in Alabama. They make Mercedes, so it's a lot of components that deal with it. But anyway, in automotives, man, I was like just doing my job. I'm ringing it. Yeah, just walking around doing my daily job. I'm just like out of breath. Like damn, I can't even really work. You know what I'm saying? But it's coming from being out of school and not really doing work, just leisure stuff, just walking around normal. When I actually got out into the real world, into society, started doing things, it was tough, man. And just being honest, I'm 5'6", man, and you 400 pounds, 5'6", like you just gotta face reality. Like you clearly you got a problem. You know what I'm saying? It's not
Yeah.
like you're overweight, like you're obese. You know what I'm saying? And so I kind of masked it with like I had like a lot of materialistic shit over the course of my life. And then I was kind of like the cool fat guy in school. And like I'm from a small town, so kind of popular and shit like that. So like being fat, it wasn't like external pressure because I was kind of cool, had like a lot of social people and stuff. But just me facing reality, man, taking a hard look in the mirror. And I had a brother that passed from type 1 diabetes. And just where I'm from, man, people that's like 50 and shit, they feel like their life is over and they mostly just go downhill. And honestly, I don't want to get all spiritual, but I've been had like this kind of image of myself on my mind screen for a long period of time, but I just knew it was going to take a whole lot of work. And just being really 100% honest, I couldn't control what the hell I was putting in my mouth. You know what I'm saying? I knew I want to start this or I want to be in better shape, but I couldn't even control my habits.
Yeah, usually when you see people that get severely obese, I mean, I'm not trying to stereotype or lump you in, but usually it's a food addiction. And a lot of times it's emotional. They use food as a coping mechanism to deal with, whether it's depression or just something in their life that's bothering them. But yeah, that's usually what you see. It's not. It's and then there can be other things going on too, like dysfunction, hormone signaling, or stuff. But was food a way to cope for you, or a way to deal
Yeah,
with?
definitely. 100%. Like emotional eating and just really just over consuming.
Yeah.
Just really over consuming and like it was a coping man. I wouldn't say I was sad a whole lot of time, but yeah, food was my thing. And then I think it's kind of, to be honest, man, I had where I'm at now. I had to take a hard look in the mirror and just take like a whole lot of mental notes and cues. And like I think it's really my personality because I did the same thing with pretty much everything that I've done as far as when I got on in an adult life, hanging out, partying, using alcohol, like it just was like it was never just consuming to actually enjoy to get the benefits of it. I was just abusing it, man. And it was with finances, it was with alcohol, it was with shit, partying, hanging out, dating. It was like either go nuts or nothing at all. And I guess that's how I got to where I am right now.
Yeah, I mean that's the hard part with a lot of this stuff when short-term satisfaction is almost never best for the long-term you. I mean, it's stuff that you have to sacrifice in the short term to make long-term progress. I mean, it's the same thing with weight loss, but that's crazy, man. And you're type 1 diabetic too. That's nuts.
No. I said my brother was like he
Oh, your
passed.
brother was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like when you asked me what was start. I mean, started with just being honest. I don't want to put it on nobody else. It was me looking in the mirror and me just really not being satisfied where I was and having, like I say, a lot of different cars, a lot of different materialistic stuff, and it still had a void inside of me where I felt kind of empty. It was cool for the moment and partying, hanging out, using alcohol, dealing with chicks and stuff. It was cool, it was fun, but it still was something in me just like pulling, like, man, this ain't it, this ain't it. But as I got further into the journey, it was things that kept pulling me in. And like I say, him being one, and then I had a daughter. She turned 2 years old, pancreas just stopped working. And she got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes as well. And I just lost a brother from this. So that shit was like, whoa. And that just kept pulling me further and further in, man. Cause I mean, it was a tough journey. I ain't gonna lie. And I don't even want to talk like I overcame obesity, but I'm still in the journey, man. I'm going to work out when I get off this live with you.
Yeah, I
So
mean, anytime I mean, I'm an emotional eater, man. I let myself, I mean, I wasn't that big, but I let myself get well over 300 pounds at one point. And it was just to deal with stress. It was like I wasn't happy in my marriage. There was things, and I just like eating, man. Like I couldn't stop myself.
yeah,
You get in this, I call it the off fuck it mode, where you just get in and it's like I'm going to eat the whole pizza and have some ice cream with it too. I just don't care.
right.
That's where
Same,
I got.
same, man. Same. I was the exact same way.
Oh, and a correction for people that are going to murder me about the math. It was actually 700,000 calories is 200 pounds of fat. I just corrected myself. I should
Still
have had another
crazy though. I
should have had
never
another cup of coffee. That's still a lot, man. It's a
yeah.
lot of fat you burned off. And you think about it, that's two. This is what I tell people when I coach people. 2 pounds a week is a lot of fat loss. It's 7,000 calories burned. People get disappointed. I think a lot of overweight and obese people get disappointed when they only see the scale go down 2 pounds a week. It's still a lot, man. I mean, that's 1,000 calories a day that you're burning off,
Yeah.
whether through a deficit or through exercise.
Yeah.
I'll show people your pictures here. But so, I mean, you said you had did you work with a coach after you got down and started lifting weights? Is that when did you bring a coach in then, or did you just sort of
I
figure
never
that out on your own?
no, I never brought one. That's probably my most terrible mistake, man. Just egotistical though. You know what I'm saying? And kind of insecure. And
Well, I mean, you figured it out, man. I mean,
yeah, just being a student, like I say, how I met you, man. Just when I come across people that the shit they saying kind of makes sense. always take notes. I try not to get too tough in the weeds because we all got personal things that work for us and don't work for this. And with this shit, what I learned, it's a whole lot of nuance that like this might work for you, this might not work for this person. And so I mean, I just was, man, when I was in the job, I would go on break and just read about carbs, how high glycemic carbs, glucose, regulating your
Yep.
glucose, how this spikes insulin, how this was just really infatuated with it, man. And like that was looking back. I don't have any regrets other than I should have started lifting weights earlier. Maybe I wouldn't have as much loose skin, and I probably should because I had the disposable income to hire a coach. I should have hired a coach, and that's what I'm doing right now, coaching people and stuff, man. So that's what I wish I would have done. But no, I just was insecure, man, and egotistical as well. And so I just kind of brute forced my way through a lot of it while I was constantly learning the process. And once I learned the process, then starting what worked for me and what didn't, then I started being more, I guess, efficient instead of just brute forcing my way through it.
Well, I mean, that's how you. I mean, it gets addicting, man, and it's fun to learn how the human body works. There's so many things that you can do, and that'll make you a better coach. Now you know what worked, what didn't work. You learned a lot of it by trial and error. Man, your pictures are crazy, dude. That's wild. How much? I mean, you look great. I mean, you got a little bit of loose skin, but I mean that's going to happen when you lose that much weight.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I
Have you had
love.
any surgery done or no?
Nah. Now, on one of those pics, I talk about that in there, man. A lot of people, like locally, especially people like I went to school with, or people that's like I worked with, I've been around when they see me that big, they kind of, they kind of like it's impossible. And for years and years and years, Paul, man, I'm not gonna lie, that kind of had me like frustrated. Like I worked my ass off, and people say I had surgery, and so I kind of took offense to it. But then, as I got more mature and I got just more into the journey, man, I kind of realized that like this is the most beautiful compliment, amazing
Yeah,
compliment you
and
can
take that
give
as a
me. You
compliment.
think I had surgery and I didn't have surgery. And I'm gonna be honest, man, I kind of started sharing more of me without shirts on. And just cause I mean, like I said, taking myself out of my body, it's easy for me to realize how it's done because I'm doing this shit every day. But me taking myself out of my body, and I'm like, man, I'm probably discouraging a person that's actually trying to get started because they probably can't even see like, damn, how is this even possible? You know what I mean? And so I started sharing like what I do, and I'm like, I'll tell anybody, like I'm pretty dialed at this point. Like I track almost everything. I pretty much eat with intent. Like even when I go out with my little girl, that'll be the only time that I real splurge or like kind of just like eat. But man, every day I pretty much eat with intent. And it's not even about looks. Of course, if it was about looks, I would have stopped maybe 2, 3 years ago. But I just feel the best I ever felt. And like it's just my lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? And I live that way and I live this way. I like this way a whole lot better. It was tough to get here and reprogram my mind and my behavior. But now it's kind of like I mean, I was that way for still 80% of my life, so it's still in me. So I still have these temptations and these battles, but for the most part it's on autopilot now, man, and I wouldn't have it no other way.
Well, the temptation will always be there, and the battles are always there, man. We all fight them every day, and it's the surgery thing is a compliment. If you did all that without surgery, it's pretty amazing. And I'll tell you, just from being on social media, when you're just authentically you, just be yourself and be honest about everything. People love that. Just put it all out there, all your insecurities, anything that everything your successes, your failures. People want to hear all of it.
Yeah,
I mean, you're a relatable guy. That's why people would be attracted to that.
I appreciate it, man.
So if somebody, if you had somebody starting off, I know you said you're coaching now, starting off on the journey, that's a beast. I mean, what is your first thing you tell them to get started?
Me personally, man, I try nutrition is the biggest domino in sleep for me that I learned. But it's about learning nutrition, man, and learning how to eat and using food as actually nutrition instead of as pleasure, and just learning. And what I learned every client, man, that I train now, once I get them on pretty much eating single ingredient whole natural foods, they like, holy shit, I can eat a whole lot more. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm telling you. It's just a learning curve that you have to get through, and trusting the process of like, man, this is way more food. Yeah, but you used to eating 2 times a day, but you eating like shit, and you eating a whole lot of processed food. You can eat way more volume if you eat this way. So it's really just reprogramming their mind and getting them to buy into what I'm saying, and getting them to buy into the process, versus just a lot of people, man, they'll hire a coach, but they still want to halfway do what they think works and listen to the coach. And like I tell it, all of them, like I mean, I'm getting paid, but at the end of the day, you wasting your money. Clearly, what you're doing hasn't been working.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So, and it's just a process, man. I tell them like the metabolism is like a fire. If you ain't adding fuel or oxygen, it's going to go out. So you can't just suppress it, suppress it, suppress it. And the more you eat right, the faster you can roar your metabolism. And once we train your behavior and your metabolism, then yeah, we can come back and cut down if you want to cut down, and then you're gonna see accelerated fat loss or whatever. But it's just, man, you got to think how long you've been doing this. It's just reprogramming your metabolism and your mind, honestly.
Yeah, usually when I get people like that, I'll start them off with just small things first. Like you said, just try to clean up the food they're eating. I don't worry about counting calories or anything like that right out of the gate. I'm just getting them into better habits. I bet you notice now that you've been eating clean for years. When you go back and eat trash food, it makes you feel awful, doesn't it?
Makes me feel sluggish, man. Makes me feel super bloated. And and honestly, I don't really do it too tough anymore, because I just live in regret when I do it. Like
Yeah, and
it's just not even worth it
the wild part is to think about that you used to feel like that all the time.
all the time. You right, bro. You right.
Yeah, I mean that's the part I think that people like once you start eating clean and you start feeling better, you forgot how awful you felt all the time. Like I once in a while, usually I'll have a cheat meal once a week. And like I'll eat some pizza and then I feel sick the whole day afterwards, man.
Yeah.
Like my body is just like or pizza and ice cream or something. It's just I'm inflamed. I feel sick. And then I'm like, God damn, I used to feel like this all the time.
All the
Tired,
time.
sick, bloated. It's wild to think about that and how you just get used to that. You just accept that.
Yeah. Feel swollen, man. It's just wild. Even I was, 400 pounds, but I can look at some of the photos, man, back in the day when I was abusing alcohol. Like, on top of being obese, I just look swole. Like my face looks swole, my body looks swole and inflamed. And like I say, I don't, the cheat meals are going off every night. If you work your ass off, man, okay, do it. But it's just me personally. I not try not to push my lifestyle on nobody else, but I just feel so good to the point where it's like I don't even want to sacrifice it. And like I told you, when we was off before you start recording, I do have to get better with, being present and enjoying myself. But I'm kind of always thinking like, damn, if I got this far, how far can I get? So I'm always
Yep.
kind of pushing the gas, but I'm trying to be smart about it and not hurting myself, or, it's going to impair my journey long term. But I'm always thinking like, damn, why would when I think back of how I used to feel and how I feel now, it's kind of like it's not even worth it. And what I have learned is when me and my little girl might go out of town and we eating out for 3 or 4 days at a time, I like it just makes me feel totally different. And I kind of still
Yep.
stick to the same way of eating. Like I still eat lean meats, still eat vegetables, and still try to eat natural carbs. But versus how I fix my own food, I still feel different. I still wake up craving food versus how I eat when I eat my own food. So I can just tell it's a difference, or it might be a mind thing, man. I don't know. So I
No,
just
no, you're probably right because a lot of times the way a lot of the food that you have in restaurants have been processed and frozen,
yeah.
and it's they cook things in butter or hydrogenated oils. They throw a bunch of salt or MSG all over stuff. It's not like cooking at home where you're cooking in olive oil or whatever you use or
I use olive oil.
yeah, olive oil, natural healthy things. It's not these processed junk oils, and they're not you're not dumping MSG all over stuff. So it definitely makes a difference, man. It's not in your head. It is
Yeah.
100% not in your head.
Yeah.
So what are you doing for workout now? How are you working out? What do your workouts look like?
Oh man, I know you're a guru, so you're probably gonna critique me, but I've been
Oh,
doing
I
this
won't
for a
critique you,
while.
man.
I've
You
been
know what I
doing it
tell
for
people? You know what the best workout is?
which one?
The one you can stick to. Same thing
Yeah.
with the diet.
Man, I'll share my notes with you however I can. But man, I worked my way up to this, and I'll say this: like I found that the hit style working out when I lost all the weight and I got back into trying to lift weights, and I still was infatuated with losing weights, and like just I'm trying to tell a client to trust me, I had to trust the process. But it was a time for me to transition over into that, for leaving something good for something great. You know what I mean? It's just hard
Mhm.
to leave something good for something great. It's easy to leave something bad for something good. So anyway, man, to answer your question, I only do 2 rounds of that now. So I'll do like 2 movements that's warming me up for whatever body part I'm training that day. And I'll usually do 2 core movements. I'll do 2 rounds of that. Then I'll go into weightlifting when I used to do 4 or 5 rounds of that on top of 30, 40 minutes of cardio. So I do 2 rounds of that. And I just do, man, push, pull, legs. And since I don't really take too many days off, I allow myself freestyle or full body. And I just repeat. I mean, I'm not competing or whatever. Of course, I
Yep.
got little small goals. I'm trying to fill out much of my loose skin as I possibly can and just pushing myself. But I now, man, I do a lot of time under tension and I do supersets and stuff like that. And like why I say you probably could critique me because when I show you my workout, I hear a lot of people saying, what I'm saying, a lot of times less is more. And I ain't gonna lie, like I do a lot of high volume, like a lot of high volume.
I'm a volume guy. I
Yeah, I
like,
do a
and
lot.
I think your workout has to fit your personality.
Yeah,
You can make it work with high volume. You can make it work with low volume, whatever. I mean, really, this is what I tell people. It's like you got these different knobs you can turn on the thing. If you're going to do more volume, you need to adjust in other areas. Like maybe you can't lift quite as heavy as what you could if you were doing lower volume. But I like being in the gym and I like a workout routine that fits my personality. I'm guessing you're a guy that likes being in the gym, so
I do.
you just
I do.
enjoy being there, right?
I just enjoy being there. And
Right.
I never heard the personality until you just said that now. And that makes total sense. Total sense. Because like when I go in the gym, it's like a character, man. I'm in savage mode. I'll speak to a few people, but I'm pretty much in the grind, man. It's in my time. And like I told you, I'm kind of always in a future perspective, trying to push forward. When I'm in the gym, I'm 100% present, man. I'm listening to stuff like you or a latest podcast, something that's pushing forward my fitness, my nutrition, or my financial literacy, man. And I'm just right there in that moment. And yes, I ain't gonna lie, I do a lot of high volume. Like I said, a lot of supersets. I rest in between, but and that's why I don't really work out with a lot of people, man, because I know I've acclimated myself up to this level of doing this way, and it's taxing. I'm not even gonna lie, because sometimes when I do leave the gym, I feel like, damn, I've been just played a football game or something. You know what I
Well, you
mean?
might not be able to find anybody that can keep up with you. That's a problem I've had with workout partners.
Yeah,
I kill workout partners. My one friend, he stayed with me for the last 5 years, but usually like I'll occasionally have people that'll dip into workouts and they'll do one or two workouts with me and they're out.
yeah,
Although I don't work out as hard as I used to, but like yeah, that's what I tell people. You got to find the program that fits your personality. I train for bodybuilding, but that's a different goal. But ultimately, it's about what gets you excited, what gets you in the gym. Whether that's playing. I used to play basketball. Basketball is something that you could do. Martial arts is something you can do. You can lift weights. You can do CrossFit, whatever. Just whatever gets you active and burning calories, get your body moving, and whatever fits your personality. I think is what really matters the most. Training for bodybuilding is a completely different thing. It's very specific, and there's certain things you're trying to do. But for just being healthy and fit and losing weight, really, you can find a million different ways to do it, and that
yeah,
that works for you. It sounds like you found that
yeah.
system that works for you.
Yeah, my mind, man, like I say, I always go off of that and kind of like my intuition and like my desired lifestyle and my desire who I'm trying to become and work backwards from that. And so, man, I always kind of wanted to move my body around. Like 400 pounds, I always had a desire to do pull-ups and be able to do like hanging leg raises and all this wild different shit, man. So I honestly try to train to just be hybrid, man. You know, push strength. I got muscle. I build muscle. I look nice aesthetically, but most importantly, I feel good. I feel like I'm in control of my body. If I want to jump up and do 13 or 14 pull-ups, hanging leg raises, do walking lunges for the entire turf of the gym, and I still can do, 200-pound seated rows or whatever the case. I mean, I'm not super strong, but I mean, I can push it when I want to, and I manipulate my nutrition. About 2 days a week, I carb cycle, and before legs and before back, I usually go higher carb like that day before, and then go back down just to, cause I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm infatuated with it and I like it, but sometimes it gets boring, man. And sometimes, like I get them temptations, so I do this different stuff to just give me smaller challenges in my mind and to just constantly play with food and play with nutrition and play with my training. But I mean, it's still the same for the most part across the board. When I look back and zoom out for a week, I'm still in the same caloric range, still eating the same macros, and I'm still doing push pull legs, freestyle, or full body.
Well, yeah, you're at that point now. I mean, you're pretty, looking from your pictures, you're pretty lean and you're in good shape. So now you can do the fun stuff like that. You can play around and do, those little things that you're doing can make a difference to keep progressing. It keeps it fun too. When you're,
Yeah,
400 pounds, just getting in the gym itself is enough. Probably that's a good place to
right.
start. And then you,
100%.
right. And you just like slowly get up. So how long total? Maybe you mentioned. I know you said it took you a couple of years to get the initial 100 off. How long did it take you total to get to where you are now?
Yeah, right now, man, I would say 8 years, but I had a car accident. I broke my neck in three places,
Oh,
ruptured my
damn.
ACL. My face was all, I don't know if you can see it. My face, all this was all fucked up. My skull was
Yeah.
fractured. I still have no feeling up here in the top from like bad nerve damage. So I was projected to be off 14 months for recovery. But when the hospital allowed me to start doing physical therapy, hell, I started doing the same thing that they let me do in the gym because I was missing it so much. And I'm be honest, just to back out of there for a minute. I was like a weekend warrior, man. I was super dialed during the week. On weekends, I would kind of like say fuck it and go off the rails a little bit. And so when I had that car accident, when I was sitting on bed rest and couldn't do nothing, couldn't even really get up out of the bed on my own, it was a constant fear in my mind. Like, yeah, you've been fucking up on your nutrition. You finna gain this weight back. And so really in that time when I had that accident, man, that kind of made me master nutrition. And it showed me that like I can manipulate nutrition and I could overcome nutrition, man. I pretty much lost weight being on bed rest, but I was on like narcotics and stuff, had me constipated, didn't want to eat. I was sleeping 12 hours, waking up feeling like I hadn't slept at all, just feeling groggy as well. But it also made me like focus and grab control over nutrition. And so
Yeah.
I
See
had,
that.
I would say about 10 months off with that. So to answer your question, man, I probably been at it a solid 7 years, man. Like I say, I had a while, about a year off dealing with that. Yeah, you pulling it up right
Yeah.
now.
That's
So
solid, man.
yeah, it was brutal, bro. It was brutal, bro. And but everything,
Damn. You overcame that too. That's a
yeah,
that's a that's a crazy thing.
yeah. So yeah, it's
Yeah. I
been
mean,
about 7 years solid, man. And I would say I've been lifting for a solid 3 years because that's when I was just starting to lift good and had the car accident and I was so discouraged, man. And then like I say, I knew I was 5 days a week I was dialed, but on the weekends that my old lifestyle was still kind of creeping in, partying, chasing girls, blah blah blah. And I knew, like, when you fucking up, man, deep down in
yeah.
the inside when you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And I kind of had that fear that weight was gonna creep back up on me. Of course, I knew I wasn't gonna gain back all the weight that I lost, but I was probably down then. I was marketing myself at 160 pounds, and I end up losing weight on bed rest, and I got back in it and went full blast on lifting weights and just eating single ingredient whole natural foods. And but I mean, I still got better in October 2022. Like I told you, when I went to Vegas to record and stuff, I was just like looking like everybody looks like you, man. Everybody walking around the gym for
There are a
real.
lot of
Like
big
I mean,
dudes.
everybody. And I'm like, what the hell can I do? And so that's when I came back and started prioritizing sleep and really just started structuring my day the day before and get more organized and start moving with more intent and stop just winging it. You know what I mean? And start calculating everything and start lifting weights with intent, being 100% present, having like a mind muscle, mind reality connection. And from 2022 to right now, I made more progress than my whole entire journey. But I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
it all
usually
has,
how it works, man. It's because you started figuring it out.
yeah,
You start figuring out what works, and then you like it's just so overwhelming to get that first chunk of weight off, and then once you do, then you can, like I said, you can start dialing things in, and you've
yeah,
learned. Like you said, you're a student. You're constantly learning,
yeah,
so that gets you to the point where you can make these improvements. But yeah, it's inspiring seeing some of these people how far some people can take it. It's a never ending journey, man. It's always there's always shit. I always look in the mirror and think that I can do better, right? That's
yeah,
just how it goes.
yeah,
That's just how it goes. But that's the fun part of it. It's a fun hobby, I think.
yeah, it is.
Um, so what are your plans now? What are your goals? What are you trying to do now?
With this whole fitness
Yeah,
thing, personally, man, just keep going for longevity, constantly trying to optimize my overall vitality and just being, I'm not trying to flatter you, but at your age, man, still being in the gym, still being fit, still feeling my best. And of
yeah. I'm
course,
old as fuck.
I mean, you're not, man, but
I'm
you look
50.
great. And I seen some of your workouts, bro, and it's how you move weights around and just that's a goal of mine long term. I just turned 35 March 15th. And
Are you still young?
yeah, I guess. And trying to help as many people as I can. I've been pretty much doing word of mouth, man. I really hadn't ran no ads about training, anything like that. And just I might start doing a little bit more of that. But personal goals, just trying to take it as far as I possibly can, a safe way. You know what I'm saying? Bridging that, being a savage, being Goggins a little bit, but still being smart about it as
Right.
well, and not gonna do anything that's gonna take me out of this journey long term, and just filling out much of my loose skins I possibly can, and just constantly trying to fulfill what's on my mind screen and follow my intuition and constantly learning, man.
Yeah, it's funny that you talk about your mind screen. It's that inner image, that voice that can
Mhm.
get you in trouble. It can either be negative or it can be positive. And
Right.
that's it's funny. It's funny you talk about it because I tell people about that all the time. The image that you see inside the voice in your head, how much that plays into your success. Not letting it show you something negative, talking yourself out of that negative stuff and changing what's in there. I mean, that's I like that. I like that metaphor. I never heard it put that way before, but that's a good metaphor for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I
Well,
say,
if
man.
you keep posting stuff up on social media and you keep inspiring people are going to reach out to you about coaching. I promise you that. So, folks, if you want to get with Jerry about losing weight, I'll put his contact information in the video description below. Um, anyway, man, I appreciate you coming on, man. Your story is really cool. I really enjoyed talking to you. If people want to get a hold of you, how can they do that?
Just PUN28S, man, and that's on pretty much everything. I do have a YouTube, but I haven't even really posted on it, man. I'm so much in this journey. And like I said, I got an 8-year-old. She's type 1 diabetic. We got to go to UAB tomorrow just on a quarterly check-in. And I'm trying to be the example for her, man, and trying to, let her enjoy life and not just push my ways on her, but also so she don't have to get to where I was 25 or 26 and have to unlearn so much shit and have to rewire yourself. That was the hardest part of this whole thing. I mean, at the end of the day, it's really inputs and outputs. But if you can't control yourself, you can't put in the inputs.
Yeah, this
So
is all psychological, right?
yeah, but yeah, it's PUN28S, man, Pun 28s, and yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. And I'm gonna still stay tapped in with you, man. Still stay learning. That's how we got talking, man. I was in your comments asking about magnesium, and you never replied. I was like, I know he get a lot of traffic in the
Oh
comments.
my
That's when I
god, you have
hopped in
no
your
idea how
DM.
many DMs I get, man. It's a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah, I already know. I already know, and I appreciate you, just reaching back out, man, and asking me on, invite me on, and it's super dope, man. Super dope.
Well, I'm sorry I ignored you at first.
Oh no, you
I do
good. I
that to a
mean, you
lot
even
of people.
reply. I've been following you for a while. You even replied to a couple of my comments. You know, it's just been me complimenting. I mean, my comments just been me complimenting. I think this is my first time asking a question about, what do you think? How many grams? Which one? Blah blah blah. You know what I'm saying? And so
Yep.
I appreciate it. I can only imagine the traffic you get. It's nothing
Well, you know
personal.
where to get a hold of me now. Anytime you need help, just let me know.
Okay, I will do.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you. Thank you for
Appreciate
being
you
on
too.
here, folks. Thank you for watching.